I've been a lawyer for a very long time and a judge now for a fair amount of time, and I don't recall a case that is as monstrous as this one. What happened on October 25th of 2023 that deprived Prince McCree, say his name, Prince McCree, of his life, of his future, of his love and his bond with his family members is unforgivable.
Welcome or welcome back, and thanks for being here. I'm Cassie, and this is A Wicked World. The story I have for you today is about a 5-year-old little boy who was murdered in a horrifically cruel way by two people that no one ever expected of being capable of such a terrible thing. This is the story of Prince McCree. Prince Rashawn McCree was born on December 23, 2017, to his mother Jordan Barger and his father Darren McCree in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was a sweet, cheerful, rambunctious, and always happy little boy. Prince loved playing video games and he loved superheroes, especially Spider-Man. Prince also had two younger siblings, a brother and a sister. On the morning of October 25th, 2023, Prince was scheduled to go to school. However, he woke up not feeling well. He had a sore throat, so his mother decided to keep him home that day. A short time later, Prince borrowed his mother's cell phone. She gave it to him, then went back to sleep. Around 9 a.m., the phone's battery was dying, so Prince returned it to his mother, then told her that he was going to the basement of their shared residence to play video games, which he frequently did with their 27-year-old unemployed neighbor, David Petura. Now, the setup of the people living in this home is a little bit complicated. Prince's family rented out the attic, as well as part of the second floor of the house. Then, the owner of the home, who was a longtime friend of the family's, occupied the other half of the second floor, as well as the ground floor of the home, along with her two teenage children. Then, 27-year-old David, who was not related in any way, lived in the basement. So Prince's mother had gone back to sleep, assuming that her son was down in the basement playing video games with David. When she woke up around 1 p.m., Prince's mother borrowed the owner of the home's car and went along with the owner's 15-year-old son, Eric Mendoza, to grab some food. When they returned, the mother went to look for Prince in the basement, but he wasn't there. So she asked David if he had seen Prince, since she assumed that they were playing video games together earlier. But he claimed that he had not seen the boy the entire day. She had no idea where her son was. She began searching the home, but didn't find him, so then went outside to search as well, but still couldn't find Prince anywhere. So Jordan called up the police and reported the boy as missing from their Milwaukee home. When authorities arrived on the scene, they also searched through the house. However, still couldn't find Prince. Therefore, a local critical missing child alert was issued. Milwaukee police additionally requested that an Amber Alert be sent out. However, the state did not issue it, deciding that it did not meet the criteria for one, as there was no information about a potential suspect or the potential suspect's car that they might be driving. Now, when a detective had gone down into the basement of the home, he spotted what appeared to be blood on the cement floor near some carpet runners. David Petura, the 27-year-old who Prince was said to have been playing video games with earlier that day, was also down in the basement at the time. And he would immediately try to move the carpet runners to cover up the stains. David would then explain to the officer that he and the homeowner's 15-year-old son, Eric Mendoza, had just been roughhousing earlier, and the blood had come from Eric's nose. However, in the portion of the basement that was set up to be David's bedroom, the detective also noticed what looked to be blood on a white comforter that was covering a chair. Additionally, there was what appeared to be blood on a blanket that was acting as a room divider. Dogs were then called into the scene, and a canine would alert to the smell of human decomposition coming from the bottom of the stairs, where there were 3 sweatshirts hanging from the back of the door. One of these sweatshirts had been spotted being worn by David on surveillance video footage that was taken in the area around 2 p.m. that day as he was carrying a trash bag outside. In that footage, there was another individual walking with him as well. David additionally had a large amount of blood on his right leg, and at that point, police arrested him for obstruction. Once David was in police custody, he would claim that he had no idea what had happened to 5-year-old Prince. According to him, he and 15-year-old Eric Mendoza had gone for a walk that afternoon near Jacobus Park, arriving back at the house at 2 p.m. However, once police informed David that the GPS from his cell phone contradicted this, he would change his story. David then told detectives that 15-year-old Eric Mendoza had been wanting to kill someone for some time. He additionally told them that the teen had never liked the 5-year-old and had talked about killing him in the past. David then confessed that shortly after Prince had gone down into the basement to play video games with him, Eric had also joined them. At one point, David had left the room for one reason or another, and when he returned, he walked in on Eric, choking Prince in the bedroom of the basement. He choked the little boy until he lay motionless. But even after stumbling in on this scene, David did nothing to stop Eric at any point. In fact, he actually would join in. Believing the boy was dead, both Eric and David started cleaning up the scene. They used thick black duct tape to bind his hands and his feet. According to David, this was so that they could fit him in the trash bag easier. Then they stuffed rags in the little boy's mouth and covered it with duct tape. This was to quiet his screams just in case he was still alive. Which he still was, because shortly after, Prince would regain consciousness. And when Eric noticed, he told David, "We need to shut him up." So 27-year-old David began punching the 5-year-old in an effort to silence him. When that didn't kill him, Eric took over, stomping on his head over and over. But Prince was still alive, continuing to whimper, as David said. So he took a 30-pound barbell and dropped it on his head. Believing that he was really dead this time, David and Eric continued with their cleanup and placed the boy into a few trash bags. Prince then again began to make noise, so they took some golf clubs and beat him in the head. Once they'd taken Prince's body outside in the trash bags, the little boy was again heard whimpering. In response, David grabbed a concrete bird bath and dropped it on Prince's head twice. He then made no further noise. Now, the original plan was to carry Prince's body to a sewage line and drop it in, but after realizing that he was too heavy, Eric and David instead carried him to a dumpster and disposed of his body there. When the pair returned back to the home, Eric allegedly used soap water and a rag to clean the blood off the basement floor. According to David, he didn't want any of this, and he loved that kid, referring to Prince. He also stated, though, that his first instinct was to cover for Eric. The 27-year-old had even helped search for Prince in the hours after he had gone missing. Now, once police received this information from David, on the morning of October 26, 2023, around 9 a.m., they would locate Prince's body in a dumpster that was roughly a mile away from the home. The little boy was curled up in the fetal position and bound by duct tape. And he had injuries due to blunt force trauma, just as David had described. 27-year-old David Patura and 15-year-old Eric Mendoza were both then charged with first-degree intentional homicide. And while Eric was initially charged as a juvenile, he was later charged as an adult. When the teen was first arrested, he would deny doing anything to harm Prince. But then, when detectives mentioned the surveillance video footage that they had found of him and David carrying the trash bag down the street that contained Prince's body, Eric confidently told them to show him. When he was shown this footage of him and David carrying the trash bag down the road, Eric claimed that the garbage bag just contained garbage and he had no idea where Prince was. But in the end, the detective would get him to admit that he had strangled 5-year-old Prince. Eric also admitted to non-fatally stabbing 3 other people just 2 days before the boy's death. According to the 15-year-old, on October 23rd, he was bored and felt this pent-up energy inside of him. So he had gone outside onto the streets of Milwaukee and stabbed his first victim, a man who was on his cell phone, in the back. He had wanted to stab someone so badly and felt a rush after he had done it. However, he also said that he felt bad after committing the stabbing. Yet, he went on to do it 2 more times and to kill Prince. Makes sense. Neither Eric Mendoza or David Batura had past criminal records, and no one, it seemed, could have predicted their heinous crimes. Police would end up recovering a black-handled butterfly knife from the home when they did a search. And Eric would confirm that this was the knife he had used in the 3 separate stabbing incidents. 2 other pieces of evidence were also found at the scene: an empty roll of duct tape and clear packing tape that was consistent with the tape that was used to hold the gag rags in place in Prince's mouth. In June of 2024, David Batura would take a plea deal, pleading guilty to his charge of first-degree intentional homicide. In exchange for his plea, the other charges he had been facing were dropped. During his sentence hearing, David would say that he never deserved to be a free man again for his role in killing Prince, and that if Wisconsin had a death penalty, he would deserve that. He additionally said, "We can't go back in time. We can only move forward. Prince can't, but I can, and that ain't right."
I agree with what the aunt said about with the death penalty. It is a shame that we don't have it here, because for my involvement, I feel that death would be right. But we only have life without parole, and I think that I should get life without parole for my involvement. And I know that goes against what Mr. Russell says, but regret and guilt, I had a lot of time to think about everything, and this shouldn't have happened. And if I had a chance to change it, I would, but we can't go back in time. We can't change things that have happened. All we can do is continue on forward, and Prince can't do that no more. But I can, and it ain't right. And I don't think the family would. I know they said that they, to be completely honest, I'm surprised they didn't try to go at me 100%. And for what they did, that's big of them, I'm not gonna lie. But if there's no possible way I should get parole. I don't think I should. I don't. But I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive myself. They show that they're capable of forgiving me, but I wouldn't be able to forgive me in that position. I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
The judge would agree with his statement, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
The brutal, heinous beating of this 5-year-old child, an innocent, should never have taken place. All he wanted to do was be your friend. All he wanted to do was play Spider-Man, to be a superhero, to read books, to do the things that 5-year-olds do, play on the playground. According to everyone that's testified today, he looked up to you as his role model, like a big brother. And in his home, in his safe zone, what did you do? But Prince came to the basement, and you and Eric took his life.
Prince's family members would also speak in court, and his mother, Jordan Barger, would say that her son seemed to make it a mission to find a new friend every day. She continued, stating, "My baby loved him, and to know that all this happened, I just don't know how he can sit there and say he loved my son." Stacy Jones, Prince's grandmother, also said that David condemned the family to a life sentence, one that deprived them of the chance to watch Prince grow into a man. She said, "We're sad, confused, broken, and lost. We feel betrayed because we trusted David." Eric Mendoza still faces multiple felony charges, including intentional first-degree homicide, hiding a corpse, and physical abuse of a child resulting in death. A competency exam has been ordered for him. In April of 2024, the Prince Act was signed into law, and this expands Wisconsin's missing persons alerts for children. A new purple alert now includes missing children under the age of 10, and children under the age of 18, who are believed to be incapable of returning home without help due to a disability.
Overflowing with emotions, Prince McCree's family held on to each other tightly. The 5-year-old boy always wanted to be a superhero. The new law named after him aims to save others from tragedy.
It's another way for him to be a hero.
Deron McCree is Prince's father. He believes the Prince Act, which expands criteria to issue alerts for missing children, honors his son's life.
Prince's funeral was held on Tuesday, November 7th, 2023, at Discovery Church in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. In his obituary, his family wrote a poem for the little boy called Prince Made Perfect. It reads, "A creation made a bit too good for earth, a light that could brighten any room, a treasure greater than the eye could see, a glimpse of heaven right here on earth, a heavenly being on an earthly mission, simply stopping by on his way to be made perfect, to grab our attention, to be our guide, to be our jewel that shines so bright, to light our paths and show us the way, a voice too sweet, a smile too kind, an image sketched in our hearts for eternity, because we met him on his way to be perfect. So smile on, my beautiful baby, because Prince is made perfect." Well, thank you for listening to Prince's story today. It doesn't make any sense to me how a 27-year-old would walk in on a 15-year-old brutally attacking a child and do nothing. Nothing other than help, I guess. David and Eric weren't brothers or relatives. They just simply lived in the same house. So why wouldn't have David, who was much older than Eric, done anything to stop him? It's very weird and just doesn't make sense, and makes me think that there's more to this story. What do you think? So if you like true crime and you want to hear it from me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and turn on your notifications too, so you'll know when I upload a new video, which is at least 3 times every single week. Thanks for watching A Wicked World today. Until next time, take care, guys. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon. So check it out at patreon.com/awickedworld or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims never get forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a case you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email at awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.